Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Channel Wisdom Circle. Today is Thursday. Ooh, we have a Mystic University class tonight, too. Hey, everyone, welcome. I'm Monica Bay, also known as the Divine Mother. Hello, hola, all of the things. And as you know, on the Channel Wisdom Circle, I channel the cosmic collective consciousness and they speak through me. And today they have a message for you. Okay. Today we are going to be talking about victimhood. Oh, it's going to be all in your face today. It's going to be all in your face, just letting you know. Okay. So we're talking about victimhood today. Um, but somewhat of the victimhood that you're thinking of, but the reality is there's a lot of times where you are playing the victim and you don't even realize you're playing the victim because it's very subtle, very subtle. So, oh, am I pixelated? Can you see me? All right. So, um, the hold on, maybe we need to change something. I don't know. Well, we're just going to flow with it. All right. So, the message today, they want to start with talking about uh, the things that you the things that are going on in your life, and especially when you are in a point in your life where you are struggling even just a little bit, or something doesn't go your way, and then you have to do something in order to get to the next level or to the next stage or get out of that situation, whatever it is. And one of the first things that people tend to do is say, well, I shouldn't have to do that. I don't want to do that. This isn't fair, kind of thing. Understand that that is also victimhood. Why? Because we'll focus on the I shouldn't have to do this thing, right? So there's a lot of times where we'll be in a particular situation and we have to do something that we don't like in order to get out of the situation. Maybe that's stepping up to the plate in a role that we don't want to that we don't like to do. I don't like doing that, so I don't want to do that. Or or I have to adjust and pivot a little bit in order to get to the end goal that I want to get to. But you feel like you shouldn't have to do that, right? And part of that is kind of the concept of oh, it's not fair kind of thing. One thing that you need to understand is that life is not fair. So I don't know who told you that life was supposed to be fair. Okay, that everything in life was supposed to be fair. Understand everything just is. So things are not good or bad; they just are. So there is no such thing as fair. Fair is a very narcissistic kind of concept, right? Where everything has to be fair to you. It's not about everything in this world where everyone is moving right in their own path, and everything isn't always going to be fair. So when you start feeling that and start thinking that, it makes you stay stuck in victimhood. It makes you stay stuck in focusing on what isn't, and also not accepting the reality that you are currently in. Okay, understand that acceptance doesn't mean it's okay. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like it, but acceptance is necessary in order to move forward. There's a reason why there's 5 stages of grief, for example, and the last stage of grief is acceptance. Acceptance simply means that you accept that this happened. You accept that this is the reality that you are currently in. Not that it's okay, but you accept it, you acknowledge it. And why is that the last stage of grief? Because you can't move on until you have accepted it. And that's the same thing where a lot of times we're going through stages of grief in our life when something happens that we don't like. We are grieving what once was or what could be. And one message that they want to get through to you right now is that it's important that you meet the present moment with the present moment. Okay, I'm going to explain what that means. And I'm going to repeat it first. Meet the present moment with the present moment. Because if you are meeting the present moment with the future, you are meeting the present moment with a timeline that never happened. Okay, you're not going to be able to deal with the present moment. A timeline that never happened is a shoulda, coulda, woulda. Okay, that's that. And again, when you stay in that, you stay in victim mode. You stay in victim mode. So meeting the present moment with the present moment means I am here in this present moment. I realize and acknowledge my circumstances. I realize and acknowledge where things are. I don't like them. Okay, but this is what I need to do to move forward, whether I like it or not. So you have to get out of your head and out of your emotions and out of your shoulda, coulda, woulda, and stand up and get on your feet and start moving and do what you need to do. And the longer you stay in that victimhood, the longer you stay in the problem, and the longer you delay the solution. And we talk a lot about that here on Mystic Temple. The Cosmic Collective Consciousness is always yelling at you guys about things like that, about not accepting, or about just not being able to move forward, right? And staying stuck in a particular quicksand of disbelief and doubt and stuff like that. And all of that again leads to victimhood. And when you are in victimhood, that is the opposite of standing in your power. So how can you meet your power if you are sitting in victimhood? If you are focused on what shoulda, coulda, woulda, what's not fair, what you should or shouldn't have to do. The reality is, do you have to do it right now? Okay, that's the reality. So if you need to do that right now in order to get out of your situation, then that's what you need to do. Forget about the timelines that never happened. Forget about the future of what you want to be in. Right? You have to acknowledge where you are right now. Again, meet the present moment with the present moment. Because when you do that, then you can stand in your power. Then you can see very clearly what's going on, and then you can move. And the faster you do that, the faster you come to that realization, then the faster you can get into that future reality that it is that you want. And so this is an important message right now for everybody listening, because there are times when this happens, and some of you are going through this right now, where there is something that you know you need to do, but you don't want to do it because you feel you shouldn't have to do it. Okay, again, that shouldn't, that's a different timeline. That's not the timeline you're in right now. Okay, what the timeline you're in right now is the present moment and the circumstances that exist today, and those are the circumstances you have to move from. Not shoulda, coulda, woulda, not some future circumstance of I should be here already. Why am I still here? You're the reason why you're still here. Message. You're the reason why you're still there, because you're too stuck in alternative timelines that are not right now, and you're too stuck in future timelines that you're hoping to be in and wish you were in right now. Okay, again, that victimhood is toxic. It's toxic. We've been talking about a lot of toxic things lately. Okay, there's a lot of toxicity in sitting here wishing things would be different, talking about how things should be different, talking about how things are not fair, focusing on the shoulda, coulda, wouldas in the future and all of that instead of right now. The concept here is understanding that there needs to be an acceptance of your current reality. And again, acceptance doesn't mean it's okay, it doesn't mean you have to like it. It means you acknowledge it. It means that I have to acknowledge that this is true in order to move from it. I can't move from anything if I don't acknowledge that this is true. If I don't acknowledge that I'm in this situation and I keep focusing on other things that are not right here, then I can't move past this, because you have to meet the present moment with the present moment. So the let's also talk about how that ends up affecting. That ends up getting into your your energy system, right? It ends up causing depression. It ends up causing frustration, because when you are focused too much on what shoulda, coulda, woulda, and how things are not fair, and you shouldn't have to do X, Y, Z, while you are focused on that, you're building up this aggression and this frustration inside. Okay, because you want things to be what they're not. Okay, and then you start to convince yourself that things should be that way, and then the more you say things aren't fair, you become powerless and powerless and powerless and powerless. Yes, and you create resistance in the field, and these things start creating blockages in your energy system. They start creating blockages in your energy system, and they start lowering your vibration. Okay, and then you start becoming resentful. You start wanting to lash out at people. This is the opposite of connection. Understand that when you are focusing your fingers out here, that is the opposite of connection. That is deflection. Okay, in order to grow, in order to evolve, and especially in order to remember your ascendance, you need to be connected. And that means be introspective. That means be responsive, not reactive. That means focusing on what is actually reality, not being afraid to see your truth. And a lot of times it's easy to point the finger out here because, and it's easy to play the victim because we don't want to see the truth of our circumstances and what actually led to those circumstances. You don't want to see yourself. You don't want to look in the mirror. You don't want to see that reflection looking back at you because it's deep and it shows you the truth. But that's part of acceptance. You have to see that. You have to see that in order to move forward through it and past it. Because again, in the example I gave before about the 5 stages of grief, if you are not in that acceptance, you can't move forward. That's why there's those 5 stages. Acceptance is the last stage. And we go through grieving all the time. Those 5 stages of grief about aren't just about death and losing a loved one. They're about the death and rebirth of our lives as well. When we lose an old version of ourselves or a timeline that we thought we were going into, and then we're over here instead of over here. That's a grieving process. You have to grieve the loss of that timeline, but it doesn't have to be a long grieving process, right? You just have to get to acceptance, and that's the point of today's discussion. Acceptance. Accept your current circumstances for what they are, meaning acknowledge them. Not that you have to like it or it's okay, but acknowledge it, see it. Yes, this is where I am. And no, life does not have to be fair, okay? Because it's just not, all right? And because something fair to you is unfair to someone else. Guess what? We are all interconnected, living in a interconnected web of reality. Even though this is an illusionary reality, we are in this video game and we all affect each other. So there is no such thing as fair. Okay. So anytime you find yourself saying that, check yourself and know that you're slipping into victim mode when you do that. Okay. Message. That wasn't a good one. Message. There we go. That was louder. All right. So yes, check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you have to recognize when you are moving into that quicksand of victimhood. And the longer you stay there, the longer you delay your ascension, the longer you delay moving forward, and the longer you delay the timeline that you actually want to be in. Because again, it'll cause depression, it'll cause lashing out, it can even cause mental illness at times. It can definitely cause emotional issues, all kinds of stuff. And then you go through this period of time. How many times in your past have you been like that? And we've all done it. So I know 100% of you have had that, where you have gone through something where you didn't want to accept that reality and you didn't like it, and you said, no, this isn't true, this isn't fair, this sucks, why do I have to do this? And then when you realize, okay, yes, I'm here, but then you still don't want to do what you have to do to get out. I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have. Who says you shouldn't have to? You do have to. Okay, reality check, you do have to. Okay. And when I say meet the present moment with the present moment, it's whatever you have to do. And once you acknowledge your situation, whatever you have to do to get out of that situation, you just have to do it, whether you like it or not. Life isn't always about things that you like to do, especially if you are in some sense of survival mode. You have to do what you have to do. Okay. And you have to accept that you're in that. And you can't just stay focused on alternative timelines and so on and so forth. You have to be here in the present moment, in the now. Okay. And yes, we have the ability to shape our reality, but everything that we do in the present moment shapes that reality into the future. Okay. So the present moment is the present moment. It is what it is. And then you have to acknowledge that and then decide, okay, what do I need to do? Not what do I want to do, but what do I need to do in order to move forward? And then that is what you need to do in order to move forward. That creates connection, not disconnection and not deflection. That creates connection with the soul, with the spirit. Once you acknowledge that, the sympathetic nervous system starts to go like this. The parasympathetic nervous system starts to go like this. That is clarity. Then you get connected with self. then you are rightly guided by your soul, because your soul should always be in the driver's seat. But it can't be in the driver's seat when you're in denial. It can't be in the driver's seat when you're in victimhood, because that's not soul, that's ego. That's ego accepting the reality of fear. That's ego creating the reality of fear. That's ego creating alternate realities that you're not presently really in, right? That are not going to be within your experience, and they're just going to cause you more frustration. That's not soul. So when you are connected, when you start to accept that reality, start to stand on your 2 feet and realize, okay, I need to do something, and stop saying things are not fair, and just do what you need to do given your present circumstances, that's when your soul gets back in the driver's seat. That's when you start to feel the empowerment, which you are. That's when you start to feel your true power. And when you start taking action from that moment and start taking the forward movement, that is also when you start to thrive. That is when you start to feel that power, when you start to gain that momentum. And then next thing you know, you will be out of that situation, whatever it was, quickly, because you're putting your own power behind it. And that's the reality. There is nothing that you cannot do. There are things that you don't like to do, there are things that you don't want to do, but there is nothing that you cannot do. Everything is within your capability, everything, including soaring out of a problem, including reaching the levels that you want to reach, no matter what those levels are, no matter how high you have to reach in order to get that. You have the ability to create your own stairs. You have the ability to create your own elevator. Okay. You are powerful. So when you remember that, then it's impossible to slip into that victimhood while you are in full remembrance of that. So if you slip into that victimhood, that should show you that you are not fully standing in your power right now. And the solution to that is simply stand up. Simply stand up and get in your power, because it's that simple. It's already there. It's not something you have to go out here and reach for. It's here. All you have to do is remove the veil of illusion and stand. Ooh, that was good. Yes. Remove that veil of illusion, that veil of victimhood that just sits over you. Okay? Remove it. The Book of Rasheeda has a passage that says, open the curtains and you will see the sun has been shining all along. Because sometimes we have those curtains closed and all we see is darkness. But if we just open the curtains, we see that there was no darkness. That was our own illusion. The sun has been shining all along. That sun, that light is our soul. That sun is divinity. That sun is prosperity, is happiness, is joy. It's always available and it's always there for you. All you have to do is open the curtain instead of just sitting in darkness, thinking this is all there is. That's the ego accepting and creating that dark reality. But again, the soul knows that the sun is right there behind that curtain. All you got to do is open it. It knows that. It knows that. And so this is why it's so important to always lead. Let the soul lead. Always let the soul lead, not your ego, not your fears, not your shoulda, coulda, wouldas, your frustrations. Okay. And it's okay to get frustrated when things don't go your way. That's okay. But then you need to get right out of that. Don't stay in that frustration too long. You can be frustrated for like 2 seconds. I'll give you 2 seconds. Maybe even 5 minutes. Okay. But then after that, you need to stand up and you need to stand in your power and accept the circumstances. They are what they are, whether you like them or not, and deal with it. This is how we as adults deal with our problems, or how we should be dealing with our problems. Face it. Look in the mirror. Okay. What's happening? How did this happen? Blah, 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 blah. What did I do? Learn from the errors, and then simply, okay, this is the reality. All right, this is where I am. Let's move forward. What do I need to do? And that's whatever I need to do. Okay. Literally, that's whatever I need to do, because I want to get out of this. I don't like this. That feeling of not liking something, that's a sign. That's a message right there. If you are, if you don't like your circumstances, you have to do something about it. You have to act on it. So something happened that you don't like. Okay. Solution, action. What do I do? And the more you focus on the solution, the more the fear goes away. Because as soon as you focus on the solution, you see the solution. Okay. It starts to reveal itself to you because it's always there. There's always a solution, always, 100% of the time. And if you're having a hard time seeing it, just go within more. And the more you do that, and the more you sit with it, the solution will be revealed. It will start to be revealed. All right. Let me read some comments because we are here to thrive, not merely survive. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what we're here for. And so if you are not thriving, which we're not thriving all the time, right? We know that. And that because that's part of life and suffering in the human experience, right? But as I always tell you guys, we can suffer a lot less and we can thrive a lot more. Okay. And the reality is, once you start to elevate yourself, once you start to move through these things, then you can start to be in a situation where you are mostly thriving. Okay. Will you still, even in thriving, will you still have a couple of moments that you don't like? Absolutely. Because that's life. We don't get through this life without that. Okay. Of course, you're going to have times that you don't like. But how are you meeting those moments? Are you meeting those moments with the present moment? Or are you focused on alternative timelines and futures that aren't here? Okay. Meeting the moment with the present moment is one way to truly reduce your suffering, because also the victimhood creates more suffering. As I talked about, when you are sitting here, well, this isn't fair, I shouldn't have to be doing this, why am I going through this, other people, and you start to compare yourself with other people as well. That's not helpful because they're not you. So don't stay focused on what other people are doing. And a lot of times when people say it's not fair, that's what they're doing. Well, this person doesn't have to go through that, why do I have to go through that? Because you do. Because it's in your path. Guess what? And because you likely contributed to that. Okay. So let's be honest. Let's be real. So whatever that is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other people are going through, because no matter how perfect someone else's life looks like on the outside, I guarantee you it's not. They're also going through whatever journey that they're going through, and they also have their own troubles that are equivalent to your troubles, just they look differently, right? They may look different and you may never see them because they don't share them. Okay. But regardless, stop thinking that you have to be like everyone else, or you feel like a lot of people feel alone when they're going through something, as if no one else in the world is going through something but them. Just because you don't see other people's problems doesn't mean they're not there. Nor should you find comfort in the fact that other people have problems too. However, people do find comfort in knowing that they're not the only one going through something, that there's a shared kind of experience. And I can guarantee you there is. I can guarantee you there is. But that shouldn't be your focus. Your focus should be you, your path, not other people's path, your path. What are you going to do to get out of your own way? What are you going to do to get out of the situation? And that is only going to happen when you meet the present moment with the present moment. Okay. Not sitting in victimhood, not sitting there. If you want to cry a little bit, you can do that. Like I said, 5 minutes I give you. Then you got to get up and you got to move. Okay. You got to get up and you got to move, because the faster you get into the acceptance of your circumstances, the faster you can get out of those circumstances. And it doesn't happen until you get into that acceptance phase. And again, you can move through those phases very, very quickly, but we do mourn what coulda, woulda, shoulda. We do mourn that. If we had a dream, we had a dream and we were working towards this dream, and something just happened to just kind of, seemingly chop it up, right? And we feel like it's the end of the world. We mourn the loss of that dream. But here's the illusion. The reality is there is no loss of that dream, because if that's your dream, you can still have it. It's just that you thought the dream was going to have a smooth path. And guess what? It didn't have a smooth path. But just because the path isn't smooth doesn't mean you can't go over boulders and still get to the end. We talked the other day about you having a GPS. Okay. You have a soul GPS. It reroutes. Okay. Just because the path wasn't as smooth as you thought and everything wasn't perfect doesn't mean you still can't get to that. That's the illusion. That's why I said we seemingly believe that our dream just died because of whatever just happened, right? I had this dream that I was going to reach this and then this happened. I'm never going to reach that. That's the illusion. That's your shadow side. That's your ego. That's the fear telling you that, oh, it's over now. But you know better. You know better because you know your power. It's not over. It's not over until you say it's over. Do you want to stop at that point? Then it's over. If you don't want to stop at that point, then it's not over. Then it becomes then it becomes an adventurous journey, okay, versus a smooth path, because not all paths are smooth. But how bad do you want that dream, right? So whatever dream you felt that you were going to have, and then something happened and feels like that dream is lost, just find another direction. Either find another route or find a way around the boulder that's in your way. At the end of the day, there's always a solution, and it's always there, but you have to meet the moment with the present moment, or else you're not accepting it, and you're not going to find the solution while you're sitting there crying about what shoulda, coulda, woulda. Okay, so I'm going to read some comments. You see a way out, not giving up, but just seeing a way out of the problem. Right, right. So again, if you have to understand, this is why we're so, I say we because me and the Cosmic Collective Consciousness are so uh, fervent about you guys understanding your power, because this is really the key to everything. When you really understand your power, nothing can stop you. Like nothing can jar you, nothing can move you unless you want to be moved. Like everything is yours when you really, really understand your power. And that's why I am vehemently against powerlessness, victimhood, all of those things, because they create deflection instead of connection. And the more you are connected, the more you see your power. The more you watch Mystic Temple, the more you understand your power. Okay. The more you actually take everything that I'm telling you all the time and the stuff that the Book of Rasheeda says, the more you actually take that, embody it, and apply it, the better your life gets. 100%. There's not a single person who can follow this and apply it and their life doesn't get better. If your life doesn't get better, it's because you're not applying it. Okay. And the application is the most important thing when it comes to listening to any message, any, and taking anything. If you're not applying it, then what's the point? You're just hearing it. It's making you feel good for a second. Then you move on and you continue your nonsense. Cut the nonsense, people. Okay. You have to understand your power. And when you understand that power and you meet the moment with the present moment, then you are able to soar through your problems. You are able to reach those goals. You are able to live the life that you want to live, the human experience that you want to experience. Okay? That should be thriving. I always say life is not meant to be endured, it's meant to be lived. So if you are not living because you are stuck in victimhood, that's not living. That's not living. That's being affected by. Okay? There's a difference between living and being affected by life. Victimhood is being affected by life. Oh, everything's not fair. Oh, this person did this, blah, 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 blah. Pointing fingers, pointing fingers. I should be over here, not here, blah, 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 blah. Keep focusing on that and you will stay in victimhood and you will not reach your dreams. But that's on you. That's because you choose to be in victimhood. Any mode that you're in, by the way, is your choice. Suffering is a choice. So is your state of being. Okay? Message, all of that is a choice. All of that is a choice. So choose the state of being of joy. Choose the state of being of success. Choose the state of being of happiness, of appreciation, gratitude, focusing on the beauty. You choose the state of being of abundance, because all of that is also here. Open the curtains and you will see the sun has been shining all along. That's it. It's always there. It's always there. And this is why we need to wake up. This is why we're doing our Global Awakening Initiative. This is why you need to wake up, because life can be so much better than it is. Okay? Your life experience can be so much better than it is because it's all here. It's all here. Okay? Choose connection instead of deflection. Choose your soul instead of your ego, and meet the present moment with the present moment, and stand up. Do what you got to do to do what you got to do to get where you need to go. Period. That's it. That's all I have to say. All right, everyone. So that is it for today. Hope you guys got the message. I know there were a couple gut punches in there. Let me read a comment here. What do you think about war and other problems in today's world? Well, yes, I mean, there are definitely problems in today's world. If you go to the divinity session here on, you're on Instagram. So if you go to the YouTube channel or you go to Mystic Circle TV, but divinity session for Mystic Temple, divinity session number 7, I gave a prophecy, and that was about the war that's happening right now and all the problems in the world today and where that's leading. And so that is supposed to, everything is actually supposed to be happening as it's happening right now, and we're only at the very beginning of that, and it's only unfortunately going to get worse. But the world is being torn in a. I will give you the short of it, but you go back to watch that divinity session because I told the whole entire prophecy that I received. They just came through me and started speaking out of my mouth, and I wrote it down as quickly as I could what that prophecy was. And this was it was September 23rd of 2023. I received it, and they basically were saying how what the world was about to go into a phase, a dark period, a phase of destruction, but that destruction is going to lead to a rebirth and into ushering in a new world. Yes, thank you for the putting that link there. Ushering in a new world, um, and this is actually spiritual, not the Bible spiritual, okay, but different. But this is definitely supposed to be happening. And yeah, go back to that because it's a lot. But all the things that I said at that time, or they said through me at that time, was that there would be war, there would be a lot of death, there would be sickness that's coming, there would be famine that's coming, and something else I forgot because I don't have it right in front of me right now. Um, but one of the things I'm trying to remember what one of the phrases in the prophecy. Yeah, I can't remember it verbatim right now, but it was pretty deep and pretty profound. And when I received that prophecy, it was very, very emotional too. I felt all the energy, and they literally showed me images of all the crazy things that would be happening. And I started telling, I started telling uh, some people, like about what was going on or whatever and what was going to happen. And some people were like, well, how's that going to I'm telling you it's going to happen. And now it's happening. So, but I didn't actually so I received the prophecy in 2023. And then, and it told me in 2 weeks' time that it would start. And that was exactly 2 weeks from that date is when Israel first got bombed. And then that, as we know, spawned all of these things. So literally they just came to me, gave me the prophecy. I didn't actually give that prophecy. I didn't actually publicly give that prophecy until 2024 in Divinity Session number 7, because I get prophecies all the time. And I don't usually actually share them unless I feel guided to share them. And they were like, it's time for you to share this prophecy. So that's what I did. But anyway, go back to that. So my opinion of what's going on right now in the world is that this is, yes, October. Yep, that's exactly when it happened. So yes, the Israel thing happened October 7th, 2023. I received the prophecy September 23rd, 2023, and they told me in 2 weeks' time, and that was 2 weeks to the day. Yeah. So yes. So anyway, sorry. I hope I answered your question, but but I fully am aware. I fully understand everything that's going on. I already know what's going to happen. Um, and this is one reason why the Book of Rasheeda is here right now, why Mystic Temple is here right now, to awaken people right now in preparation for what's coming, because this is only the beginning. This is literally only the beginning. And that's not to scare anyone, because this is not about fear. It's actually about empowerment. And so instead of sinking into fear because of everything that's going on in the world, meet the present moment with the present moment, right? And stand in your power. Stand in your power, and do what you need to do. At the end of the day, um, the Book of Rasheeda says that those who receive with open channels will be saved. Okay. Also, part of the prophecy, one thing that I do, one verbatim part of the prophecy that I do remember them saying is, those who are left will feast upon the ruins. That's literally what they said. So um, you can you can take that and run with it, of what that means, because that's, I think that's pretty clear. We are moving into a destruction, but there will be a rebirth, and those who are left will feast upon the ruins, is what the prophecy said. So that's what it is. If you have any more questions, definitely ask. I have no problem with answering any of those questions. The entire talk today is about the that empowerment. Exactly, exactly. Yes, get prepared, not scared. Right, exactly. It's not about being scared. Not about being scared at all. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you guys today. Have a wonderful day. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. We will be back here live at 12 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow for the Channel Wisdom Circle. Bye. In the divine language, Zor Kumti.